I am tired of being a loser. I am sick and tired of being beaten down and being a loser every single week except one. It all changes tonight. And I'm going to let you know how it's all going to change tonight. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. And share the video with your family and your friends if you want to support this rebel outpost of all of college football with a donation. Hit the dollar sign where you make a comment. I'll get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody, and I mean everybody, even those who are fans of a team that I'm going to pick against this week. And because I'm going to pick against you, you are definitely going to lose. It's not Greg the loser. That is not what's happening tonight. It's not even Greg the gold. It is Greg the believer. Greg the believer is in the house, in the studio. That's how we're making the selections tonight. At my end, I don't know how you geniuses are going to do it, but is Greg the Believer tonight. I got my Minnesota Golden Gophers jersey on. We're not using the old brain tonight. This thing has failed us. Week in, week out. Year in, year out. Not tonight. Not tonight. It's all emotion. It's all heart. This is not a Costanza on Seinfeld. Sometimes my brain and my heart link up. Tonight, the heart overrides the brain. We're going to be doing our selections tonight for week 13. And then that is going to roll us into calm down, Greg. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. That is going to lead us into the college football playoff new rankings. We're going to watch it in real time. We're going to put down our real-time reactions. We're going to open up the phone lines. And you are going to tell me how wrong they got it, how right they got it, what an idiot the host is on this show for screaming at the committee. But I do want to say one thing about it. I want to give everybody a warning. Everybody a warning before I start with that. Stephen McNeely, Greg, you win at losing. Well, I was not prepared. I was not prepared to read that. I was... Well, tonight I'm going to win at winning. It's going to happen. Watch how it unfolds. Stephen McNeely, thank you so much for being an early peak Cloak and Dagger member, a member of this YouTube for one whole year, 12 months. Holy smokes. Thank you so much for your generosity, Stephen McNeely, and for your kindness. Appreciate it so very much. You are hereby knighted officially once again, Cloak and Dagger. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so very much for being a member of 12 months. When we started this channel, I never thought anyone would want to be a member of this channel for 12 months. Since I get every one of you upset at least once a month. At least once a month. Ricky Tungate. Have a great show, Greg. Thank you, Ricky. And I want to start with this. Thank you for your incredible generosity. Thank you for your incredible generosity once again. And I say this I'm not saying this because you have been generous with this show. No strings attached. I am very thankful for all the support we get here at Peek Around the Corner in so many different ways. But I got to tell you, you know what? Before I say what I want to say about the playoff rankings, I need to find this. Geez, I hope I find this. Hold on. I want to find this tweet or post or whatever you want to call it. Hold on. I'm about to explode. I'm about to go nuclear. Please let me find this. Please. Okay. Now, forgive me for those. Thank you so much for coming on in at the beginning of the show. Ryan Willie, Patrick Bear, Don Scruggs, Georgia Bulldogs, Steel Austin, Tumasta, Skull Ducky. You stay away from my Ducks these next couple weeks. Congratulations to the Oregon Ducks for being officially part of the Big Ten championship game. The Big Ten Conference figured that out on Tuesday. That was announced today that no matter what happens, the Oregon Ducks are going to the Big Ten championship game. They are going to Indianapolis, baby. The Ducks, the first year in the Big Ten, is going to the Big Ten championship game. Congratulations. But Skull Ducky, you're going to have to forgive me. Tyler Brown, Stephen Vitt, Jim Reese, Thomas, Michael Batts, Matt Neeson, everybody. You're going to have to forgive me, but because I'm about to go nuclear right off the bat. Now, before I show you this, I completely, look, this is not Nicole Auerbach. This is not what she believes it should be tonight, Tuesday night, when the new college playoff rankings come out. This is what she thinks it's going to be. Okay? So this is not I am not taking a shot at Nicole Auerbach tonight. No way. But this is what she believes the rankings are going to come out. And she's not the only one, either by people believing that this is how it should be or how the rankings are going to be because the committee is not doing the right thing. This is Nicole Auerbach's projecting the new college football playoff rankings ahead of a big weekend. This is it. This is it. Let me show you. She is projecting tonight. I don't know if she's going to be wrong. I don't know if she's going to be right. I don't know if she's going to be closer to being right. I don't know if she's going to be closer to being wrong. She's got Oregon number 1, Texas number 2, Miami number 3, Colorado number 4. I completely understand all that. Buckeyes number 5, Penn State number 6, Notre Dame 7, Alabama 8, Ole Miss 9, Georgia 10, Indiana 11. Boise State 12. First 4 out, Tennessee, Texas A&M, SMU, Arizona State. I really have no problem with that either. It's that Indiana number 11. Now, she doesn't believe Indiana should be 11. If you go read her article later on this today, she supports Indiana being much higher. She thinks this is what the rankings are going to be. And if you listen to a bunch of ESPN people and Ryan Russillo and holy smokes, all these guys, they would have Indiana 11. Hell, most of them would have Indiana behind Tennessee, Texas A&M. And I'm giving everybody a warning. Everybody a warning. If the rankings come out tonight and it's Indiana number 11, the fat guy from Minnesota riots. Now, YouTube and your algorithm, I don't figuratively, I am not saying that I'm going to actually riot. I'm not going to cause any property damage. So YouTube, get off my back. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying right in the world of holy smokes, this studio is going to go nuclear if Indiana is 11, if Indiana is 10. So, I'm just giving everybody a warning. When those rankings come out in real time, if Indiana is 10 or 11, we're not even going to get to the phone lines right away because I am going to go on a rant. Giving everybody a warning. Okay, we got to get this going here. We got to get this going. Coos Corner's in the house. I expect BYU to get hosed as well. Isn't this an end of the season projection though? No, that was Nicole Auerbach's projections of tonight. That was her saying, projecting the new college football playoff rankings. Now, the rankings that I give are the projected, the ones that it's going to end up as. No, that is tonight. She has no faith in the committee. She actually thinks Indiana is going to be 11. And I'm saying if they're 10 or 11, I may not survive the night. Coos Corner, Colorado. I've had Colorado as number 4 since I started doing the projections on November 3rd. Okay. Let's get into it. We got to do our selections. We got to do our picks. We got 45 minutes until the new rankings come out, and then we're going to open up the phone lines. I am going to go first. I am going to do our predictions first. Again, I'm 53-73 against the spread. You guys are 52-74. It's been a miserable year picking against the spread. A miserable year. So, I have been using Greg the Gold. Is he going to show up this week? For only the second time? No, he's not. This is not about Greg the Gold. This is about Greg the Believer. I am picking with my heart. I am picking with my soul because my brain has completely failed me once again. So let's do this thing. I am going first. So buckle up, brace for impact. Greg the Cooler is gone. Greg the Gold has been kicked in the head too many times this year. Indiana at Ohio State. The Hoosiers versus the Buckeyes. The biggest game for the Hoosiers in 7 decades. Minus 13. The Buckeyes are favored by 13. No way. No way. No way is the Buckeyes. I got all the respect in the world for the Ohio State Buckeye. The quarterback is he's playing better than he has played all year long. But the Hoosiers have got a chip on their shoulder, the size of Indiana. They're coming in this game. Everyone's giving them shots. A lot of people are going to give them shots tonight. Whole ESPN's going to give them a shot. The Indiana Hoosiers are going to go to the shoe and they're going to give the Buckeyes everything they want and more. I am taking Indiana. 5-star Greg the Believer lock. Ole Miss at Florida. We got 9 games this week. 9 games. Ole Miss at Florida. Florida has found a pulse. Legway, he didn't even run the ball that much. I think he's going to run the ball this week. He did not do it much against LSU. They did not really need it. Ole Miss is on a roll. Lane Kiffin's talking about, boy, I don't even know if I want my team to go to the SEC championship game. I don't want my team to lose this championship game. They might get pushed. What kind of nonsense is that? What kind of talk is that during the week of a very important week? I've got the Gators, Florida, lock, plus 10.5. Florida, plus 10.5. Book it. SMU at Virginia. The Cavaliers, they looked absolutely dismal against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. SMU is going to roll, minus 9.5. I've got the Mustangs. Penn State at Minnesota. Well, oh well, oh well. Penn State, minus 12. Coming on into Huntington Bank Stadium, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 3:30 Eastern Time, CBS. The Gophers' offensive line, the right tackle is a complete mess. But it has been an enjoyable season for the Gophers. Finally have found a passing game. Suddenly, our running game has gone completely awry. It has been a complete mess. The defense, the secondary has caused a lot of chaos. The linebackers and D-line, not so much. Penn State's coming in here with Kyron Allen. Coming in here with Singleton. Coming on in here with one of the best, if not the best, tight ends in the nation, Tyler Warren. We don't have anybody who can cover Tyler Warren. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, we don't. Penn State's going to physically abuse us on the defense and offensive line. However, there's going to be chaos at some point this week from somewhere you did not expect. Minnesota Golden Gophers created chaos when they defeated the number one Penn State, number one team in the nation, Penn State, in 1999. Minnesota Golden Gophers, 8-0, rated 18th in the country, playing the number 4th rated team in the country, 8-0 Penn State. The playoff committee absolutely disrespected the Golden Gophers going into that 2019 late October football game. And again, the Gophers defeated a top 5 ranked Penn State team. Greg the Believer believes the Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to shock the world. Shock the world. And they are going to topple the Nittany Lions. That's it. So look, I'll take the 12 points. I would take the 12 points. I'm taking the Minnesota Golden Gophers. This is not about Greg the Gold or Greg the Cooler. It is Greg the Believer. The Golden Gophers defeat Penn State Nittany Lions. Colorado at Kansas. Now, as you know, I took the Jayhawks. Plus 2.5 against BYU last week. I am very curious about this Jayhawk team. To me, they could have been run on. BYU, if they would have stick to the running game, I think they would have blown the Kansas front seven apart. I think they threw the ball in the air too many at the wrong times. Kansas has some really good secondary players, some all Big 12 players out there. And I think Colorado is going to make the same mistakes. I don't think Colorado is going to stick to the running game as they should. I think Colorado wins this game. Colorado wins this game 27-26. The Buffaloes escape, but Kansas covers. Kansas covers. The Jayhawks and Greg the Cooler on a roll here lately. But again, it's Greg the Believer. Kentucky at Texas. You want to know what's insanity? You want to know what is complete insanity? Kentucky is going down to Austin and playing the Longhorns. And this is the furthest west Kentucky football has ever played a game. The Kentucky Wildcats football program has never played a game west of Texas. My friends, that is complete insanity. Absolutely complete insanity. I'm taking the Longhorns minus 20.5. The Longhorns win big. Absolutely crush the Kentucky Wildcats. BYU at Arizona State. No disrespect at all for the BYU Cougars. I picked against them last week. I'm going to pick against them this week. I picked against them Utah. BYU has not been covering the spread lately. They've lost some juice, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Arizona State has gotten their second win. They are on a complete roll. I'm taking the Sun Devils -3. Arizona State is going to be facing the Colorado Buffaloes in the Big 12 championship game. Wisconsin at Nebraska. Wisconsin at Nebraska. I believe. Greg the Believer. This is the game. This is the game that the Nebraska Cornhuskers break their incredible streak of not being able to win that 6th game to become bowl eligible. This is it. This is the Saturday. They're going to do it in Lincoln, Nebraska, in front of one of the greatest fan bases in all of this country. Nebraska's finally going to do it. They're going to beat the Badgers. They're going to rush the field. Nebraska defeats Wisconsin by more than 2.5. Nebraska covers. So far, I have not gotten one game wrong. Not one game wrong. I don't see a loss anywhere. The final game of the week. Army at Notre Dame. I was talking to my sister earlier today, as she's over here taking care of my mother. This is a game I wish my father, of course I wish my father was with us here, but he was Army. He served in the Army. He was a fan of Army. Army versus Navy. It was always go Army, beat Navy. He would absolutely love and adore this game. So would his brothers, who also served in the Army. This is Army's best team since 1945. Now, Notre Dame, I think they have been a terrific football team. I know they lost to Northern Illinois. I get it. We all get it. Each in one of us, we get it. But they have been playing some of the best football in the country. Without a doubt, guys. Without a doubt. I've been watching them, and when I haven't been able to watch them live, I'll go back and watch their games. They have been absolutely spectacular. There's no other way to say it. Their defense has been spectacular. They haven't been really missing Benjamin Morrison. Their secondary has been fantastic. Riley Leonard he is completely comfortable. Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, he has absolutely shined here in the last part of the second half of the season. Marcus Freeman, everybody believes. He's got all the guys believing in him. I have no doubt that Notre Dame is going to come in here and ready to smack Army around. And normally, I would pick Notre Dame to cover the spread, but not tonight. Not this time. Go Army. Beat Irish. Go Army. Beat Irish. Go Army. Beat the Fighting Irish. And I'm going to go ahead and take those 14 points. 14 points. Greg the Believer has Army. So I've got Indiana, Florida, SMU, Minnesota, Kansas, Texas, Arizona State, Nebraska, and Army. Those are Greg the Believer's picks. Now, what are your picks? We've got 30 minutes before the selection, the playoff selection. The new playoff rankings come out. So let's get to this. Okay, geniuses. You guys are one game behind me. One game behind Greg the Believer. So let's get going here. Does Ohio State cover the minus 13-point spread versus Indiana? If you vote yes, you're taking the Buckeyes. You're willing to give 13. If you vote no, you want Indiana and you want the points. The voting begins now. I'm just, you know what? For those who have arrived late, I've given everybody a warning. If these playoff rankings come out and the playoff selection committee has Indiana ranked 10 or 11, I am going to explode. The studio is going to go nuclear. The channel might not survive tonight. If those rankings come out and Indiana is ranked 10 or 11, we're going to give the vote his close. 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 53% says no. Ohio State doesn't cover. The PATC community takes Indiana and the 13 points. Ole Miss, favored by 10.5 over the Florida Gators. Does Ole Miss cover the minus 10.5 point spread versus Florida? The vote begins now. If you take yes, you're taking Ole Miss, giving 10.5. If you vote no, you want the Gators plus 10.5. Stephen Vitt, Ole Miss should beat Florida, but you know Lane Kiffin. Don Scruggs, those Rebels eat gator meat this weekend. Holy smokes. Michael Smith, Greg, you know they're going to bump them. You know they're going to bump the Hoosiers out for an SEC team. Oh boy. I think there's going to be high emotions tonight here at college football's peak around the corner. 5 more seconds. We have another close vote. 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 52% says yes, Ole Miss does cover. Very close vote. Very close vote. Okay, this is an interesting one. SMU. SMU. What do the PATC community think about SMU handling all this success? Does SMU cover the -9.5 point spread versus Virginia? If you vote yes, you're taking the Mustangs and you're willing to give 9.5 on the road. If you vote no, you're taking the Cavaliers and 9.5. The voting begins now. Opie, Florida just gives too much space to the receivers. LSU did not take advantage of that, but Kiffin will take advantage of those gaps. I see many flying clipboards. Taytown Hawk. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Is Greg Rock Chalk Gold again? Kind of. I took Kansas, but it's not Greg the Gold this week. It is Greg the Believer. Greg the Believer. I'm going to give this 5 more seconds. We've got a landslide. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 84% of the vote goes to SMU covering. SMU covering. All right, you geniuses in the PATC family. Let's see how smart you are. Let's just see how smart you are. Let's see if Don Scruggs, Richard L., MBM, Prof, Stephen Vitt, Taytown Hawk. Let's see how much depth you got. Let's just see how much depth you got in wisdom. How much wisdom do you have? Does Penn State cover the -12 point spread? Whoops. Versus Minnesota. If you've taken Penn State, vote yes. If you've taken the Gophers, vote no. The vote begins now. Don Scruggs, oh, I'm a damn fool, Greg. Come on. Vox Quindaro, we never claimed to be smart. Taytown Hawk, can Fleck cover the tight ends? No. No disrespect. No disrespect to my beloved Golden Gophers linebacker crew, but it's probably the worst linebacker unit in the Big Ten. One of the best secondaries, but no, we cannot cover Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is going to catch as many balls as Franklin wants him to catch. But still, this is not about using your brain. This is about being a believer. Greg the Believer has the Minnesota Golden Gophers. What does the PATC family thinks? 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boo! Boo! 59% of the geniuses took Penn State to cover. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Colorado at Kansas. Now, it's interesting because the PATC family recognized early on that the Buffaloes were getting on a roll, that the Buffaloes' momentum was climbing and climbing and climbing. But the PATC family was also early to see that Lance Leipold, the coaching staff, that the Jayhawks, they got some stuff turned around. They're playing a lot better. So the PATC family has been early on the rise of the Buffaloes and early on the late turn of the Jayhawks. This is going to be a very interesting vote indeed. Does Colorado cover the -2.5 point spread versus Kansas? The voting begins now. Yes, you're taking Colorado. No, you're taking Kansas. Richard L. Rock, choke, Jayhawk. Wow, the elbows are being thrown. Taytown Hawk, we can beat a ranked team for the third week in a row, Greg. Michael Smith, Kansas has nothing to lose. If they can cover the receivers, could be bad night for the Buffaloes. Quindaro, Prime is going to get the shakes before being back in Cammerhead. KU, the Giant Slayer. Okay, 5 more seconds on the vote. 5 more seconds on the vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 61% of the vote. Colorado. I thought it was going to be closer than that. I thought it was going to be closer. Taytown Hawk is saying boo. Kentucky at Texas. Can Texas finally push the foot on the gas pedal and blow this Kentucky team out? Does Texas cover the -20.5 point spread versus Kentucky? If you vote yes, you're taking Texas and you're giving 20. If you vote no, you're taking Kentucky and you're getting 20.5. The vote begins now. We got 20 minutes until the new college football playoff rankings come out, and we are going to be covering it in real time here at Peek Around the Corner. So don't go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. This is going to be an emotional, drama-filled night. This is a landslide here. This is a landslide. Jose says Texas by 10, not by 21 or more. Texas by 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 80% taking Kentucky. The Texas hate remains real in the PATC family. Holy smokes. BYU at Arizona State. BYU at Arizona State. Both of these teams with a win inside track to get to the Big 12 championship game. This is a massive game. A massive game. Sataki, Dillingham. Holy smokes. Does Arizona State cover the -3 point spread versus BYU? If you vote yes, you're taking Arizona State and you got to give 3. If you vote no, you're taking BYU and you're getting 3 points. The voting begins now. Vox says, sorry, Sparky. head coach of Arizona State. Go Cougs! Steele Austin, Arizona State's going to win this thing by 9. Mr. Buffalo, Richard L. The Devils and the Buffs are on a collision course. Okay, we're going to give you 5 more seconds. 5 more seconds to vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 63% of the family takes Arizona State. My goodness. My goodness. Wisconsin and Nebraska, both 5-5, both looking for that 6-win bowl eligibility win. Dylan Raiola, the quarterback of Nebraska, has said, we're going to win this Saturday and we're going to go to a bowl. Luke Fickell said, we are going to go to a bowl. Now, he didn't exactly say he was going to win this game, but Minnesota's the next game. Both the head coach of Wisconsin, he's in some turmoil this week. Nebraska has been in some turmoil for years. Somebody has to have a good Saturday here. Does Nebraska cover the minus 2.5 point spread versus Wisconsin? The voting begins now. Tough Tony, Nebraska by 4 touchdowns. Golden goal for Tough Tony. Jose, both lost to USC. Steele Austin, this is the game to stay away from if you're placing bets. Charisse Armistead, let's go Ohio State Buckeyes, baby. Taytown Hawk, movable object versus stoppable force. It's a close vote. It's a close vote. We're going to give you 5 more seconds. It's all tied up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 53 says no. 53 says no. The PATC family takes the evil Badgers of Wisconsin. And for the last game, as we're getting ready for the release of the new college football playoff rankings that's supposed to come out 7 o'clock Eastern time in 15 minutes from now. One last game for the PATC family to make their pick. Does Notre Dame cover the minus 14 point spread versus Army? If you vote yes, you're taking Notre Dame and you're giving 14. If you vote no, you're taking Army, you're getting 14. The vote begins now. Wow, I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed in the PATC family. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. You got 5 more seconds to turn this vote around. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 63% Notre Dame. You've all got Notre Dame. Okay, so this is it. Week 13. I took Indiana. You all took Indiana. I took Florida Gators. You took Ole Miss Rebels. I took SMU. You all took SMU. I took the Minnesota Golden Gophers. You all took Penn State. I've got Kansas. You all got Colorado. I've got Texas. You all got Kentucky. I got Arizona State. You got Arizona State. I've got Nebraska. You got Wisconsin. I got Army. You got Notre Dame. Those are our week 13 predictions, our selections. Okay, hold on, everybody. Selection show is going to begin in 10 minutes from now. I am going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. If someone wants to quickly call in, let me know what you expect to see tonight. If we don't get a call, that's fine. We're going to shut the phone lines down when we go on with the show here. Again, we are here to do a real-time reaction, PATC, real-time reaction to the release of the new college football rankings. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Again, the phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. Todd McShay is also another person that has come out and said that Indiana is just basically not as good as anybody else ranked. I think I'm gonna hold my fire. I've already went off once. I'm gonna hold my fire until the rankings come out. Dan Montcasso, Dogman of Washington message boards, is saying that the Big Ten will expand it again in 3 years with Stanford, Cal, and Notre Dame. Have you heard anything like that, Greg? Well, nothing on California. So if California gets included in the Big Ten, we have peek around the corner, did not have it. Now, in terms of Notre Dame, we do think the walls are closing in on them. No, we never said that Notre Dame is not going to be able to schedule SEC and Big Ten teams. I know that buffoon on X is claiming once again that, we said something that we did not say. What is going to happen if the Big Ten and the SEC have a formal scheduling agreement that can bump up their pay with their current media partners, that Notre Dame is not going to be able to get that formal scheduling agreement. They're not going to be able to get that pump in pay by NBC, and they're not going to be able to keep up. There's lots of different walls that are closing in on the Irish. We've believed that. We've been consistent on that for the last 3 years. Notre Dame is going to be able to continue scheduling SEC and Big Ten teams. We did not say anything different than that. Will Notre Dame be able to schedule USC like they have in the past? That is up for debate. Will Notre Dame be able to keep up their schedule in total in regards to value versus the Big Ten and the SEC? Probably not. Don't think so. Don't think they're going to be able to keep up. That is what we said. That is what we said. But again, the old Notre Dame and Stanford to the Big Ten. We thought here at Peek Around the Corner, we took this L 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. But if you read the Los Angeles Times article that did an article on us, we thought it was going to be Notre Dame and Stanford. Everybody was working on Notre Dame, especially USC. And if Notre Dame would have said yes at the time, it would have been Stanford. Now, would it be Stanford 3 years from now? They're probably the favorite to come with Notre Dame if Notre Dame chooses to join the Big Ten. But we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I don't know. I don't think anything is of, how do I say this? I don't believe, could be wrong, I don't believe there's any serious talks going on right now. I don't know, I don't have the word that there's any serious talks going on about any plans of Big Ten expansion. So, we'll see. I do believe the ACC is going to go, something is going to happen. We've told you guys the story about Bubba Cunningham. We think North Carolina is going to play a major role in 2025. We think they're going to bring in private equity. The question is, how does the private equity come in? Does it come in at a conference level? Can the ACC even do private equity? Or is the ACC going to have to dissolve? We think the dissolution theory is alive. And remember, we spent about 1.5 years saying it wasn't alive. But now we've been told that it very well could be alive because North Carolina is very pro private equity. And how to get it in, how to bet on themselves, that's the question that needs an answer, and we don't have that answer, but the dissolution theory is one of those options, and that's why it is alive. Sure. Daniel Montcastle, he said it was about the extensive travel that is causing the headaches. There's some gnashing of the teeth over it. Bringing in 2 more West Coast would alleviate it to a small degree. He's absolutely correct. That is one of the reasons why others out there said the Oregon-Washington situation wasn't real. We said it was. They were going to get brought in for lots of different reasons. That was one of them. Bringing in a Stanford, in theory, could make a 5-team West Coast Big Ten more regional. They can play each other twice during the basketball season each. They can play each other more times in baseball and basketball. You can, in football, of course, right? There's a lot of things you can do with 5 teams on the West Coast. My only to this dog man, I don't know who this dog man is. I've had quite a few people send me this information. This Washington Husky guy, dog man. The only part of it I would say, slow down, you move too fast, is the California piece. I am not, at this point in time, I don't think so. But we're gonna keep tracking that, keep tracking everything. But thank you for bringing it to my attention. We did have a few people bring it to my attention earlier today, but I forgot about it. Thank you, Mr. Hoosier, Mr. Montcastle. Ryan Willie gifted 10 memberships. Holy smokes, the evil badger. My goodness. He's so happy that I picked Nebraska against Wisconsin this week. He can't believe it because I've been on Wisconsin and they've slipped. Now that I'm off Wisconsin, they should come back up. Maybe that's why Ryan Willie is happy with me. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. Don Scruggs, Joshua Irby, BR7062, James Turpin, Kevin Fox, Becky, Go Huskies, Bob Husley, Isaac Harlan, and Christopher Shannon. You are all hereby knighted, cloak and dagger once again. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Mr. Ryan Willie, who's been one of the original members, participants, family members of the PATC. Please say thank you to him for his generosity. Thank you, Ryan Willie. I do very much appreciate it. Thank you. And Don Scruggs and other people are thanking him. Thank you so very much. I've had quite a few people send that to me. Again, we could spend an hour on this, and we're going to spend a lot of time on this, but in a world in which the conferences are obtaining more and more power on decision making, Notre Dame has less and less influence. That is the number one thing with Notre Dame. But anyways, we will we'll talk about it. Don Scruggs, why do I already feel violated? Oh boy, nervous. Here we go. All right, let's go. Okay, we're going to close the phone lines off. But after these rankings, I'm going to give you my opinion. And then you're going to call me and give me your opinion. Okay? This is how we're going to do it. I may or may not go nuclear. But somebody in the chat room will. Give us a call, 763-260-1333, after these rankings come out. Now, I don't have the volume on. So you guys got to, if they say something controversial, let me know. Ryan Willie, Greg picked Nebraska. That means Wisconsin will win. Ryan Willie's now excited. I finally got off the Badgers bandwagon. Thank you for your generosity, Ryan Willie. I do appreciate it. Okay. What's going on? Indiana number 2. They just won't listen to reason. I'm telling you, Montcastle, I'm telling you, if the Hoosiers are ranked 10 or 11, I'm going to go ballistic. I'm absolutely going to go ballistic. Florida man, bet SEC gets 5 or 6 teams in the playoffs. Again, Saturday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time. We're going to be doing the watch party of the Buckeyes and the Hoosiers. Then at 7:30 Eastern time, we're going to be doing the watch party of Army versus Notre Dame. 2 watch parties. Come and join us. We're going to have a great time Saturday, full of drama. Come join us. BJ thinks it's going to be Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Georgia, Notre Dame, Bama, Ole Miss, Miami, Tennessee, Boise State, BYU. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Tony says Georgia behind Notre Dame.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
All right, these are really fun graphics. They're explaining how the playoffs are going to play out. The first playoff game is going to be on a Friday night, I think December 20th, correct? December 20th. And then 3 games on December 21st, Saturday. I believe. I might have that wrong. All right, geniuses, let's go. What are they saying here? What are they saying? Again, thank you all for joining us. I do appreciate it so very much. So very much. Reveal of the new college football playoff rankings. We're going to put down your comments in real time. We're going to open up the phone lines minutes after the final reveal. I'm going to give you my 2 cents. You give me a call or put it in the comments. Number 25 is Illinois. Number 24, Number 23. Sorry. Missouri. They didn't drop at all. Number 22, Iowa State. Number 21, Arizona State at 21. They didn't even move Missouri at all after the loss, South Carolina. I don't think so. Weren't they 23 going into that game? Or were they 21 or 22? Arizona State 21. FPI rank 31, strength of schedule 18. Well, they play BYU this week, so number 20, Tulane. They're moving on up, baby. They're moving on up. Army's going to be right ahead of them. Tulane is 20. Number 19 is Army. They're on a collision course to the American Athletic Conference championship game. They moved up 5. Number 18, South Carolina Gamecocks. What a season for South Carolina. Number 17, Clemson. 50-yard touchdown run by Clay Klubnik. Gets Clemson, number 17. Number 16, Colorado. Okay, so there's going to be some space still between Colorado and Boise State. But how much of a space between Colorado and Boise State? (15) Texas A&M. Number 14, BYU. Now, that's not too bad for BYU. Not too bad. I mean, they're ahead of Texas A&M. Number 13, SMU. Who lost to BYU 18-15 early in the season. I'm guessing 12 is going to be Boise State here. Number 12, Boise State. So you've got Boise State at 12, Colorado at 16, if you want to keep an eye on that. Number 11, Tennessee. Number 10, Georgia. Number 9, Ole Miss. Number 8, Miami. Number 7, Alabama. Number 6, Notre Dame. Number 5, Indiana. Number 4, Penn State, which would end up being the 6th seed, Texas. Number 3, number 2, Ohio State. And number 1, Oregon. Okay. Now, so right now they would have BYU as the Big 12 champion, but seeded number 12. Boise State, the number 4th seed. But again, if Colorado beats BYU in the championship game and Boise State defeats Colorado State in the championship game, I think Colorado is going to move ahead of Boise State just barely. Just barely. Now, so right now, first of all, the Big 12 nightmare scenario is still alive. Right? Still alive. Where nobody makes it into the playoffs from the Big 12 because if Army beats Notre Dame. Set that aside. Notre Dame, let's say Notre Dame beats Army. Okay. Now you're looking at the situation where a Big 12 team, are they going to be seeded number 4 or number 12? And BYU or Colorado are going to have to win out to ensure that number 4 spot for the Big 12. As far as the ratings, see, Colorado 16, Boise State's 12. I still think that Colorado catches Boise State at the end. BYU 14 and Boise State 12. I still think that BYU catches Boise State at the end. I think right now, if either BYU wins out or Colorado wins out, the Big 12 champion will be the 4th seed. But if Colorado doesn't win out or BYU doesn't win out, then Boise State, if they win out, they're going to get the 4th seed. I don't think Arizona State's going to be able to catch Boise State. Arizona State would have to be the 12th seed if they win the Big 12 championship game, which very well could happen. For the rest of the ratings, Texas A&M 15, SMU 13, Tennessee 11. In reality, Tennessee right now is out. Because a Big 12 champion would get in the top 12 if one of those teams went out. So Tennessee is on the bubble, first team out. And that's exactly where I would have Tennessee. And I got a feeling that Tennessee is not going to be looking good against Vanderbilt. I think Tennessee is slipping and sliding. I think they're going to slide their way on out. Now, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, one of those 3 teams, or Texas A&M, if Texas A&M beats Texas. But let's say Texas beats Texas A&M. Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, one of those 3 teams is going to be playing Texas in the SEC championship game. And if one of those 3 teams goes to the SEC championship game, gets their 3rd loss, I happen to think they are not going to get kicked out. I don't think they're going to get kicked out of the playoffs. That's my thinking on it. Again, Texas and Texas A&M, a massive game. Massive. Because if Texas A&M beats Texas, and what if they smash Texas? How far does Texas fall? What is Texas' big win? So you got to look at that. The playoff committee gave Indiana as much respect as I give them. So I'm not going nuclear tonight. I am not going nuclear. The Indiana Hoosiers have put themselves in a situation where if they play competitive football against the Buckeyes, they are going to go to the playoffs. Probably as a 10th seed, 9th seed, 11th seed, if they play competitively against the Buckeyes. I think there's a lot of room. I think the selection committee has provided Indiana cover, but they have not provided Indiana a home college playoff game. Indiana, they're going to have to play competitively, real close game to the Buckeyes to secure that 6th, 7th, 8th spot to get a playoff game. Notre Dame, I believe, has got the respect that they deserve. Number 6. So, surprise, surprise, surprise. In my opinion, the playoff selection committee absolutely nailed these rankings. Absolutely nailed these rankings. If Notre Dame continues to go on, if Notre Dame continues to play like they're playing, they're going to have a home playoff game in South Bend. If Indiana plays competitively, they're going to be in the playoffs. The SEC teams that I think deserve to be in the playoffs are going to be in the playoffs if they win out. I think a third-loss SEC team in the SEC championship is still going to make the playoffs. I think they nailed it. I think there's enough room to where BYU and Colorado can go past Boise State, and I think that's what should happen because, again, if BYU defeats Colorado in the Big 12 championship game, or if Colorado defeats BYU, or if Colorado defeats Arizona State, those good wins moves them above Boise State. But it still gives the opportunity for Boise State to be the 4th seed. I'm going to open up the phone lines. But I am happy with what the playoff committee did tonight on November 19th. The phone lines are now open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Becky, go Huskies. I didn't think Boise State would ever leapfrog BYU. But they did for now. But I think they can get leapfrogged back, in my opinion.
Call from
BJ.
BJ, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Hey, what's up, Greg? As always, appreciate it for letting me speak on your platform. I disagree with the rankings. However, it went how I thought it was going to go, knowing how the CFP works. Couple things that just I don't agree with, right? And maybe you can help me with the reasoning. Ward Manuel, CFP chairman, Michigan guy, right? He has come out and said several times, we'll look at who you play, where you played, and how the game unfolds, right? He said that, right? If that's the case, Georgia and Tennessee have the two best wins from an SEC team this year. When Georgia beat number 3 Texas and Tennessee beat number, I think 7, Alabama 7, right?
Yeah.
What is Alabama's?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can both agree those are the two best wins by the SEC team this year, right?
Well, in accordance to the rankings, but, like Texas, for me, they passed the eye test. But, they haven't beaten anybody. Just like Indiana, right? And I think Indiana has passed the eye test. I'm being consistent. But when somebody says that, win over Texas is some big major thing, well, they better be consistent on how they rate Texas and Indiana. That's all I'm saying. I do agree with you because I think Texas passed my eye test. But Tennessee has played not very good football lately. They do not pass the eye test with me, and that is why they're behind all those other 2-loss SEC teams. I know they beat Alabama, but they have not played good football. They lost to Arkansas. They got the worst loss. Where Alabama lost at Vanderbilt. They lost to Arkansas. That Kentucky game was horrific on a grand scale. They beat a struggling Oklahoma team. That was a bad game, 25 to 15. You know how I feel about their offensive line. It absolutely sucks. I think Tennessee is gonna struggle mightily against Vanderbilt after they play their cupcake UTEP game. So I agree with where they got Tennessee.
Greg, what you just said, I'm going to break it down, and it's not being combative. I'm just giving you an alternate way to look at it, right?
Yep.
So Manuel said who you played, where you played, and how the game unfolded.
Yeah.
So with that, Tennessee has the second best win out of any SEC team. You mentioned Kentucky. Glad you mentioned that. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky.
Yeah,
right?
But see, in any other conference, the team would get tagged with that. But in the SEC, somehow these schools get reverence. That Georgia-Kentucky game was absolutely brutal. If that's the Gophers in Iowa, you guys all would be laughing at it. But just because there's SEC on the football field, come on, man.
We are in agreement. And so the Kentucky team, I think Georgia won by a point
it was a horrific. Now Carson Beck's playing better. He played great last week, but Tennessee is not playing better. Tennessee has. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'll say this one last thing. I'll let you have the floor. I apologize, BJ.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm just saying, Tennessee has now that UTEP game is ridiculous, right? But the Vanderbilt game, they have an opportunity to show the committee that they are ready to go into the playoffs, that they are ready to win a game, that they're ready to compete. If they beat Vanderbilt comfortably at Vanderbilt, okay, it's not a big win, it's not a great win, but it's a decent win on the road to close it out. I just happen to think the Volunteers are going to struggle from bell to bell at Nashville. Go ahead, sir.
Greg, you may be correct, but I'll just say this. Arkansas is not the worst loss out of the 4 or 5 teams in the SEC. The worst team is Kentucky. Arkansas, I think, is 5-5, if I'm correct. And so now it was a horrible game. Tennessee has played like crap. We can all agree to that, right?
Yeah.
And so, but when I stack up the resumes, Tennessee, Georgia, to me, have the best resume. Now, I'll just say this, Greg, and then move on to another point.
Yeah.
I agree. What is crystal clear to me by watching the CFP for all these years, the eye test and how you feel about a certain team is weighted more than how they look on paper. On paper, I agree with you. Tennessee.
You got to use both because there's not enough data points. There's not enough data points in a football season. It's not like basketball. You've got to use somewhat of the eye test. Some of it, not all of it. Some of it.
And here's what I think they do, Greg. I think they use the resume and the metrics to group teams. Mm-hmm. Group A, Group B, Group C. And then once they're in a group, I think it's purely feel. It's like you like strawberry shortcake, I like lemon meringue. And I think it's purely feel, and they can't say that because it opens up biases, right? Like for me, I wasn't a big fan. I don't think BYU is a top 15 team in the country. However, I don't think they should have dropped to 14. Right? They're still in the Power 4 conference, and you should give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Because here's the thing, Greg, and here's why it's important. Because you drop Tennessee so low, it hurts the resume of other Big 12 teams, right, if they were to beat BYU, right? Because if they beat BYU and BYU slides to 20 or 25, the win doesn't look as great. But if they had the Missouri treatment, they lost, and I think they moved up one or maybe stayed in the same spot. So if Colorado beats a top 10 or a top 12 BYU team, it looks better on the resume. Mm-hmm. And I think that the only conference that benefits from that is the SEC. The SEC can lose and move up. Everyone else, if you lose, you have to prove that you belong. Whereas SEC teams, they have to prove that they don't belong. And I'll say this, and I'll get off the phone. What's his face? The BYU and Boise State, or the Big 12 and the Boise State positioning. Like, I don't think people realize how important that ranking is. Because if the season ends this way, it hurts. It will be negotiated. So when the CFP opens up again, I think when they talked about it last year, they mentioned how you perform will go into the calculation of how the splits are. And if you have G5 teams getting first-round buys and top 4 seeds, they can go to the table and ask for more money off the Big 12 and the ACC's plate. I think it's very important that we look at that because even though I like Boise State's a great team, the conference they play in, and the power to use it against the middle two, the conference they play in doesn't compare to the Big 12 teams. The Big 12 teams are just better than the G5 teams. And not saying that, your schedule should be the end-all, be-all, but if Boise State ends up as a top 4 seed, I want to know from you, Greg, if you want to answer this, what are the ramifications? Because I think the ramifications are huge when it comes to CFP payouts.
Okay, I'll take it offline. Thanks for the call, man. BJ,
thank you.
Beautiful call. BJ raised a lot of good points. It is huge. It is a big deal. These rankings are a big deal. Now, the look-in is for 2028. So this ain't going to be it's going to be like 3 playoffs worth of data before I think they can make changes with distribution model or what have you.
Call from
Numbskull News.
Numbskull News. Can you hold on for just one moment, please? I just want to finish answering BJ's great phone call. So it ain't just 1 year of data. It's going to be, I think, 3 years. And then there's going to be the look-in. So it is important. It is important. Now, Rock and Rant makes a good comment here. I think you are very wrong about BYU or Colorado catching up, especially now that UNLV is ranked and Oregon is their only loss. He's talking about Boise State. And when UNLV's name come up on here, I said right away, that's good for Boise State. You are, and look, I mean, we got to be careful when we do this, but, the Mountain West Conference is going to use this, and they should. Boise State's going to use this logic, and they should. It's not everything. Nothing is everything. You got to look at a bunch of different stuff. But, UNLV defeated Kansas, right? And Kansas just defeated BYU. So BYU goes on to win the Big 12 championship. And, Boise State defeated UNLV. But overall, I got a feeling that BYU and Colorado are just going to nip Boise State at the wire. However, I am not completely convinced, as you can tell by my predictions. I'm not completely convinced that that Colorado is going to make it on through, or BYU. There might be more stumbling going on in the top of the Big 12, and I am definitely not convinced that Arizona State could catch Boise State at this time. But BYU and Colorado, I think they can. I think they will. But I'm not sure. They still got some mighty, mighty big hurdles in front of them. Numbskull News, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Well, Greg, I think a lot of people are making a lot out of the CFP when we still have 2 more weeks of these rankings to come.
You bet.
So, and I think people are overlooking now we don't overlook the bias that the CFP has for the SEC, but they do have a bias against the G5 as well. I'm not saying that's fair. All right, Boise State has had an incredible season, but they're going to, unless Army trips up with Notre Dame, because if Army beats Notre Dame and wins the American, then Boise State ain't getting in. But way it's looking, because I don't think many people are betting on Army here. So,
Yeah.
but if Boise State runs the table, wins the Mountain West, the chance. Now, one thing you had, all right. So if BYU trips up again, let's say Arizona State,
Yeah.
which could happen. If Kansas, you know what? If you're going to be bad, stay bad. But they're turning into the team we all thought they were before the season started.
Yeah.
And if they nip Colorado, if there's more upheaval, like you said, they trip up, then that opens up the opportunity for Boise State to move up in there.
Yeah.
However, you got to have they still need help for that, and it's not Boise State's fault. They're a G5. The CFP just does not value them. They barely look at them. That's what my takeaway. And for all the people like, well, there's not really a Power 4. There's just a G8. Look, there's a Power 4. I'm sorry you can't see that. I'm sorry you don't understand that there's 4 autonomous conferences left in this nation that make tens of millions of dollars a year. Now, nobody makes what the Big Ten and the SEC do. Absolutely. They got all the advantages. Okay. But let's don't act like the ACC and the Big 12 are all of a sudden G5 schools making $5 million a year.
Yeah, you're right.
That ain't the case.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's not the case.
Yeah.
And if you look at the firepower of Colorado, you're not seeing that in the G5. You're not seeing a Coach Prime level coach that are putting together coaching staffs like that in the G5. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just how it is, and that's why there's this bias. I pull for Boise State. I wanted to see them in the Big 12. I think they're a fantastic program with a great looking field. I love that sci-fi looking field. It's cool. But let's just be real here, folks. If Colorado runs this table and they have the firepower to do so, they're going to get that 4th seed.
Yeah.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah.
And for all the SEC whiners out there, okay, I'm sorry your team lost to Arkansas. I'm sorry another team lost to Vanderbilt. Okay, that's your problem. You're not getting 6 teams into the playoff. So, and by the way, let's see how they look against the Big Ten, because those 4 top Big Ten teams are absolutely fatal. They're great. They kill teams. Oregon is insane. Ohio State's insane. Penn State, I know they lost to Ohio State, but good God.
This Saturday, numbskull news.
Hey, it could happen. It could happen. But I was watching Josh Pate, and I'm going to do a whole video on this on Josh Pate.
Yeah.
But he's over here talking, well, if Indiana loses to Ohio State, they're out of the playoffs. Are you insane?
Yeah.
That's the dumbest crap. Who has Texas beat?
Yeah.
Sisters of the Poor. That's who they beat. They beat some JUCO somewhere. Ooh. Yeah, they haven't beaten nobody. The one time they played somebody was Georgia. They got beat down. They could get beat down against A&M. A&M hates them. Knives are out. The knives are out.
Yeah, they are.
I'm tired of that bias.
Yeah, and I don't mind. Look, I don't mind people taking shots at Indiana or Penn State. I don't. But just be consistent. Just be consistent. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna, I mean, first of all, winning a college football game is tough. Okay, going on the road and winning is tough. Okay. Winning all your games is incredibly tough. I don't care what schedule you have. Other G5 fan bases are picking on Army because of their schedule. Yeah, it's a little weak. But my goodness, did you see how they did it? That has to mean something. It has to mean something. What Indiana did, Tennessee could not have done that. Tennessee, with Indiana's schedule, could not have performed at that high level. No way. No way. Now, It's still up to Indiana because they did not have that big win over a team that has played really good this year. Indiana's got to play competitive this Saturday. It's up to them. But if they lose by like 10 points, 7 points, 3 points, come on. Of course they're in the playoffs. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, sir.
I think if they get blown out, they're in. I mean, I'm sorry. They earned this spot.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
They earned the spot.
Not for Hoosier fans, but go ahead.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
What I mean by blown, if they lose by, I don't know, 15, 20 points, they're in. They've earned the right to be in. I'm sorry that they're not the biggest brand in the Big Ten. They're not. Not in football, they're not. But they've earned that right as a one-loss team. Come on.
Yeah.
When you have 4 dominant teams in a conference like that, there are no dominant teams in the SEC. Show me the dominance. Show me the dominance. Alabama's not dominant. We didn't see them lose to Vanderbilt when Nick Saban was there.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They may win it all. They could get hot and win it all.
Yes, they could.
Yeah. But I doubt it. Let me see them against these Big Ten teams. I want to see them against Ohio State. Let me see Alabama versus Oregon. We're going to see some of that this year, Greg, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
And if they don't win, I'm going to light them up. I got a colostomy bag that's full, and it doesn't even belong to me, Greg.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm going to find one that's full, and I'm going to dump it all over them.
Yeah. That's, like when they come out with that last playoff projection, not projection, when they come out with the playoff bracket, okay? The final playoff bracket, man, the drama, the intensity that we're all going to feel, seeing who's 5, 6, 7, and 8, who gets those home games in the first round. Numbskull News, I think the first round is going to be such a success that there is going to be a lot of pressure put on the college football world to expand this to 16 and have the top 8 have a home field game in that first round. I think
I'm an advocate for that.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate for 16. I think 16 is the final number.
Yeah.
It's a perfect number.
Yeah.
And look, like I said, I don't mind SEC fans pushing. They see it their way. But when you're outside of it, looking at it, I see a lot of really good programs, really good teams, a lot of elite programs. But let's just look at it really, take a step back. There are like I said, there are no dominant teams. There's no Oregon this year. And I know they hate to say that, but Oregon's dominant.
Yeah.
Even when they struggle, they still find a way to win. They're not blowing a win. Alabama has blown games. Georgia has blown games. Ole Miss has blown games. Tennessee has blown games. Ohio State only lost 1 game to the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
And it was close. What was that, 1-point game?
Yeah.
Come on.
I just think if Tennessee lined up against Georgia again in the playoffs, Tennessee would lose. I think if Tennessee lined up against Ole Miss, they would lose. I think if Tennessee lined up against Alabama, they would lose. I think if Tennessee lined up against Texas, they would lose. I think if Tennessee lined up against Texas A&M, they would lose. I think Tennessee is the oddball SEC team in this rankings. I think they're going to struggle against Vanderbilt. I think they're going to look lousy again. And if they do sneak in as the 11th or 10th seed, boy, I'm putting my money on that 6th or 7th seed team to beat them and cover the spread. They're struggling.
Yeah, but but you do have to give them credit for their wins too.
Sure.
Even though you could say okay, when you ratchet up the pressure, they would probably lose, and you may be right. But I'm always a proponent of, hey, what you kill is what you keep, and if those are your wins, those are your wins. But also you got to look at, okay, they also lost to Arkansas. And didn't Arkansas lose to Oklahoma State, which is the worst Big 12 team? I mean,
yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. There's this thought where, you know, the SEC, that's just the pinnacle of football. I mean, they are great. It's the greatest football conference.
Yes.
They are.
Yeah.
But when they're not having the greatest year, you should admit it. You should say, hey, it's not the best year for the SEC. Just because, I'm sorry, there's always a dominant team in the SEC, one or two. And this year there's not. That doesn't exist. Last year Georgia went undefeated last year in the regular season, right? And they only lost in the title game. I mean, that was a dominant team. They've had a dominant run. This ain't that team this year. They can get got. They can all get got.
Yeah.
But that's my big takeaway. The whole thing needs a point system. Enough of people's opinion. It needs a point system.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way to fix it. This committee, or any committee, I'm tired of people's opinion. Let's settle it on the field during the regular season. You set up a point system where you earn points to earn your spot. Whoever gets the spot earns enough points to get the spot. You got the spot. Everyone else kick rocks, shut up, because you didn't earn enough points. That's your problem.
All righty, man. Beautiful call and Numbskull News.
All right, brother. Have a great show. Love you.
You too, man. Love you too, sir. Beautiful.
Good night.
Again, phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. I am quite satisfied with the rankings. Now, I do see there are some college football reporters arguing that Ole Miss and Georgia should be ahead of Miami because Miami hasn't defeated any top 25 teams. And Georgia's like 3-2 or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, that all might be true, but I don't think it's going to matter because Miami, if they win the ACC, they're going to get a top 4 seed. And if they don't, they're going to be in danger. They're going to be definitely in danger.
Call from
Becky, go Huskies.
Becky, go Huskies, is on the line. Becky, go Huskies. The first ever caller to this incredibly ridiculous, bad college football show of all time. Becky, go Husky. The floor is yours.
Well, hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We're acting a little crazy tonight. I was all ready to explode. But then the rankings came out, and I'm okay with them. What do you think, Becky?
I mean, I'm okay with the rankings.
Yeah.
They're right where they're supposed to be.
Okay.
I think the conclusions you can draw. Indiana's going to be on the road when they make the playoff.
Yeah.
Because right now they're like they're one of the last two teams to host. I think Penn State's pretty much secure in the fact that they're going to host. And then whoever loses the Big Ten is probably going to be the 5 seed.
Yeah.
Pretty much draw that conclusion. Notre Dame's really, for me, the big wild card here.
They're probably going to play a home game, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Feels like it, and I mean, I think they're cemented in that 8-9. Like, they're just going to be 8 or 9. Alabama's that other wild card that could like leapfrog Indiana, and I think that's where we're going to see it. Is Alabama will jump Indiana if Indiana loses to like Ohio State, and I think Indiana, as long as they don't get blown out by Ohio State, they're fine. I don't think they're going to get blown out. And I mean, like, when I say blown out, losing by like 40 or 50 would be, enough for the committee to be like, yeah, nope. But I think they're pretty secure. If they lose to Purdue, they're done. I really like. I think we can agree on that, Greg. If they lost to Purdue and Ohio State,
Hey, Becky,
yeah,
you, me, and the next nine people in the chat room would not lose to Purdue. Okay, so Indiana is going to beat Purdue. So it's all about that game against the Buckeyes.
Exactly. I'm saying it's like a major collapse. It's a rivalry. Crazier things occurred.
Yeah.
The thing, and I brought it up in the chat. I don't know how it's going to work, but Army doesn't play Navy until like what the 14th.
They play a week
like
after the AA. So what happens is you got championship weekend. AAC is going to have a championship game. It's going to be Army and Tulane. It's already been decided. And then after championship weekend, the playoffs get decided. Army plays their 12th game of the year against Navy. Navy plays their 12th game of the year against Army. But that game, Army-Navy game, will never be a part of the playoff selections. Everybody agreed to it. So if Army runs the table, beats Tulane, upset Notre Dame this weekend, and they are into the college football playoffs, if they should lose the Army-Navy game, they're still in the playoffs. That Army-Navy game does nothing to the playoffs, does not affect the playoffs at all.
Correct. Now, imagine being State. Never lose. They don't lose again. They only lost to Oregon. They never lose again. And then Army could literally sit their starting players against Navy, lose that game, still make the playoffs. No other team in the country gets that kind of treatment outside of those two.
Yeah, but everybody, true, but everybody agreed to it, right? The whole
country,
Yeah.
The whole country agreed to it. I'm just saying, like, if you put yourself in the shoes of like a Boise fan, I don't know if I could stomach that, Greg. I would be sad and mad.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do. I'd be mad.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, everybody would be like, Boise can't lose, but Army can. I get why.
Yeah.
I'm a Navy vet, so go Navy. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, on the football side of things, like, nobody else can lose a game and still make the playoffs. That's in the G5. Army can't. Like, it's kind of, I get why, like, they're saying it, and I know this is a meaningless conversation, but, things are happening, and then you get a situation like, say Boise and them stumble, and, like, say the Big 12 champion has 3 losses. Right?
I get what
or
you're
the
saying.
ATC champ is 3 losses. We start running into this situation.
Now, Army and Navy, they have, as you know, they have their own built-in disadvantages. They can't do they can't go the NIL route. They really can't do transfer portal. They can't do any of that. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying. It's nobody expected Army to go 10-0 so far this year. Holy smokes, incredible! But it's a crazy good football season.
It's a great season. I mean, we don't have, like, last year we had 4 teams that we really were like, maybe, Florida State, Washington, Michigan, and then Texas all looked so much better than the rest of the country at times. Yeah. And, like, you could even throw Georgia in there. Like, there were 5 or 6 teams last year that everybody knew these are the cream of the crop. We don't have that this year. Like, Oregon looks amazing. Don't get me wrong. I think Oregon and Texas, to me, are the only 2 schools that have separated themselves from the field, and I think Oregon's ahead. As a Husky fan, it pains me. But Oregon has separated themselves from Texas, in my opinion. I think Texas is the number 2 team in the country, but it's so hard to tell because Ohio State's so good, too.
Yeah.
And that 1-point victory at Oregon was, something to behold. Yeah. But I think the committee's got it right. I really do. I know Big 12 fans are probably a little upset that Boise jumped them, but what they're saying is right now, Boise's the better team. And, you know, I said this to a couple Big 12 fans. I was like, if I put BYU on the field right now against Ole Miss, Alabama, Penn State, Indiana, Ohio State, are they beating any of those teams?
Probably not, but, you know, they've had some, they seem to be able to put it together when they need it the most. Now, they couldn't do that last weekend, but
yeah,
I don't think it would be impossible, but
yeah,
they'd be the
and that's
underdog,
the key
yes.
here. And that's the key here. Like, Miami hasn't looked, you know, Miami got beat recently by Georgia Tech, so they haven't looked incredible either. You know, they've had some tight games as well, and some things where people are like, oh, look, the ACC refs are bailing out Miami. And it's like, no, you know, like SMU is still floating around up there who could spoil Miami's party, obviously. And, you know, Colorado's floating out there who could spoil BYU's party. And obviously BYU has a big, huge game this Saturday against Arizona State. So there's still so much football to play. That's why I'm like, just relax, people, relax. The committee is just telling you kind of what they're thinking and what their thoughts are. But, you know, as we saw last year, you know, Florida State, they got leapfrogged and they were undefeated. Like, anything can happen with this committee. This committee, like, they're going to choose what they think. And granted, I think Florida State still got robbed, but, you know, it's not an is what it is thing, but it's a don't overreact to the committee. Just kind of see what they're doing. Right now, you can actually kind of guess where teams are going to end up. I don't think a 3-loss SEC team gets in unless, like, something crazy happens with, you know, BYU and Colorado, Miami, and, you know, Oregon. Oregon's only got, you know, the 2 games remaining. Like, where it gets to me, and this is what I would be fearing as a Big 12 fan, is if you do have, you know, you have a 2-loss BYU and a 2-loss, like, say, Arizona State wins the conference, right? I'm using them as the example here because or Colorado. Somebody beats BYU in that championship game. At that point, there's a 2-loss, like, say, Oregon, who loses to Washington and Ohio State. Did they leapfrog them? They stay in the top 10. They stay in the top 12. Whereas, say, BYU loses this week, but still wins the Big 12 title. You know, they are in. But if we start to see this, where do these teams fall in the top 5 if they do lose? Like Ohio State. Is Ohio State safe if they lose to Indiana? You know.
Yeah.
Like, is Ohio State safe if they lose to Indiana and Michigan?
No.
Like, that's where we start.
No, they're out then. They're out. If they lose
but if
Michigan,
everybody else starts to get, you see, but then you start seeing, okay, well, if Auburn beats Alabama, Tennessee loses to Vanderbilt, Ole Miss loses to Mississippi State. Now you suddenly get and Georgia loses again. Now you get muddied here with all these 3-loss SEC and Big 10 schools.
Yeah.
Who's in? And I think the committee's telling you what they're doing. They're not. I don't think they're going to put them in. They're not going to put those teams in unless that's pretty much all they have.
Yep.
And that's why I just want people to realize, like, just kind of get a feel for what they're doing and thinking. But I do think that the Big 12 champion will leapfrog the G5 champion, regardless if it's Army or Boise. They're going to leapfrog them because I think that a win over Arizona State and a win over, say, a Colorado farther Boise's win over UNLV.
I believe so.
Play again.
I believe so too, Becky. But as long as BYU or Colorado doesn't trip up on their, you know, if they run the table, I think.
Yeah, they have to run the table. I think they have to run the table.
Like, if they don't run the table,
the biggest thing for the Big 12 was the cannibalization of Iowa State and Kansas State in the last, like, 3 weeks.
Yeah. But if Army pulls off the miracle and defeats Notre Dame, and Army runs the table, they're getting that spot ahead of both Big 12 and Boise State.
Correct.
You're not
That's
going
where
to
like
leave an undefeated Army defeating a Notre. You just, Notre Dame Army's going to get the 4th seed. As crazy as that sounds.
crazy it sounds.
Yeah.
I think that's what the committee's doing.
That's
They're
what the
saying,
committee
we're ready
is trying to
do
tell
this.
people. Yeah. Yeah.
And the question then becomes like, what happens to a 2-loss Notre Dame?
They're out. You
Is
can't lose to
are they
Army
100%
and Northern Illinois and be in the playoffs. You just can't.
But if everybody else has 3 losses,
Well, okay. If you go to
like,
complete
like
chaos,
that's where this is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
everything is so weird. But I agree. I don't think Notre Dame's safe, being that they're the 8th seed.
yeah.
I don't think they're safe. But like I said, I think if everybody just kind of relaxes and breathes,
Yeah.
the data points and the play is getting better. Like I said, BYU has a top 25 matchup this week. Arizona State, they're a really good football team. They still have probably be Colorado, we're assuming, or it could end up being Arizona State again in the Big 12 title game in 2 weeks. So a lot of things are still at play here. Army only has Notre Dame, and then they have the conference title game. That's it. And Army's secure in playing the AAC title game.
Yeah.
That's done. Like Tulane and Army, I think that's like a done deal.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how it works. I don't know how
Yeah.
it works with Navy being a conference game, if
No,
Army is the home team or not. But
the Navy-Army game has no effect on.
no, I'm saying like as far as like who's home team and who's like considered away.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I don't know how they're doing that. I mean, Oregon, the Big Ten. What did you think of that today? The Big Ten just realized that Oregon clinched today.
Yeah, it's that's crazy. That is crazy. That they just figured that out. I don't know.
I thought I saw a graphic on like Saturday or Sunday that after they won that they had clinched, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen anything official. But anyway, I'll let you go, Greg. It's great talking to you as always. I'm going to let somebody else talk, but I just want to say, everybody, in the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax.
Well, I was about not to relax. I was about to explode, but I'm not going to. So thank you, Becky.
Yep, you're welcome, Greg. Have a great one.
Appreciate it. Ryan Willie, if Bucky wins Saturday, I'll be a drunk evil badger. Thank you for your super chat, Ryan Willie. I do appreciate your generosity once again, helping us keep the lights on here. I appreciate it, Evil Badger. Let's take a look at Ross Dellinger's post. The ESPN playoff predictor. The ESPN playoff predictor is interesting. Chances to make the playoffs are the following. This is ESPN's playoff predictor. Oregon, 99%. Indiana, 97%. Indiana, 97% chance to make the playoffs. The Buckeyes, 95%. Texas, 93%. Georgia, 92%. Penn State, 89%. Boise State, 77%. Alabama, 70%. Notre Dame, 68%. They've got Tennessee as a 67% chance. Ole Miss, 62%. Miami, 61%. SMU, 42%. Basically, it's 60-40 on who's going to win the ACC championship game. BYU, 40%. Colorado, 37% chance. Texas A&M is not listed. Interesting. So that is the ESPN playoff predictor. Playoff predictor. My goodness. My goodness. There's a lot of potential for more chaos. Texas A&M. Rod Nix, just watch the chaos that ensures if Texas A&M runs the table. No question about it. Edward the Auburn Tiger. I'm an Auburn fan. However, I do not see Auburn beating Alabama. Well, you know what? I'm crazy. I said I'm Greg the Believer today. Not Greg the Gold, not Greg the Cooler, Greg the Believer. These colors do not run, baby. Do not run, especially when they're playing the Nittany Lions. Penn State, Minnesota, my beloved Golden Gophers are about to create chaos. Chaos. Anyways, this Saturday, Ohio State, Indiana, 12 noon Eastern. We're going to be doing a watch party. Come join us. 7:30 Eastern, we're going to be doing Notre Dame and Army. 2 watch parties, 2 separate watch parties, separated by about 2.5, 3 hours of time. Join us this Saturday. If you're new to the channel or if you haven't done it yet, please hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button if you've liked our content tonight. Share the video with your family and your friends. We are going to close it up. We're going to close it up this Tuesday night. Thank you for joining us. We did our picks against the spread. Greg the Believer versus the PATC Geniuses. And we did our real-time reactions to the newly released college football playoff rankings. I happen to think the playoff selection committee did a pretty good job, but we've got so much drama ahead of us this coming weekend. Join us tomorrow. We're going to be coming on live. Keep your head on a swivel. We don't know when. Keep your head on a swivel. College football landscape is crazy with drama. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.